Start minus enlarging. All right. Pause a little bit. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? JayInDaHoodie with another reaction video. Before we get, hold up. I need a better intro than that. I need a better intro. What's goody? You watching the hoodie? Hoodies up, yeah. Hey, don't judge me, bro. That was my first time. I'm testing the intro. You know, I need something good. Hey, in the comments below, leave me something, you know what I'm saying, for my beginning of the videos. You know, give me some intro ideas. I will be reading the comments for sure, so that'll be greatly appreciated if you leave some comments on what I could say. Before we get into the video today, I also wanted to announce this is my third video on the channel. Let's go, man. Let's go. 1,000 subs. We coming back to YouTube like we never left. The big 2020-25. And today's video, we got 50 prohibited places that you should not visit. Without further ado, let's get straight into a bang.
There are places that are off limits for virtually everyone.
Places that you
from
cannot
ancient
go.
human encampments to areas of great danger. It's time to
You
begin.
definitely don't want to go
Join
in.
me
You
while
got
we take a look at 15 forbidden places that you're not allowed to visit.
Dang.
Number 15, Lascaux Caves, France. September of 1940, an 18-year-old was walking his dog in the countryside near the French town of Montignac when his pooch suddenly fell into a hole. He gathered a few friends to help with the rescue effort, and they entered the cave, which at the time they thought was a secret tunnel entrance to a nearby manor. What they would go on to discover, however, was one of the most important archaeological discoveries to have ever been made in France, the Lascaux Caves. Made up of a series of caverns that cover an area of around 75 acres, they contain more than 600 paintings of large animals, local plant species, and various other symbols, some of which have been dated back more than 17,000 years. By 1948, the caves had been studied and were open to the public, with more than 1,200 people venturing in to see them for themselves every day. This began to cause some serious problems, though, because of the carbon dioxide, heat, humidity, and other contaminants that were being released into the caves as a result. The paintings were visibly beginning to deteriorate. With signs of fungus and lichen beginning to grow on the walls, too, the decision was made to close the caves in 1963 and embark on a restoration project. They remain off limits to everyone except for authorized researchers to this day. Instead, a number of replicas have been made, as well as a virtual reality version of the caves, to hopefully give people the chance to admire the beauty of the paintings without causing any further damage to them.
That's cool.
Number 14, Maya Bay, Thailand. There's no doubt that Thailand has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, covered in pristine white sand and leading out to perfectly blue waters. And if there's one that stands out above the rest, it's the Maya Bay Beach on the island of Koh Phi Phi. It looks familiar. That's because this was the location for The Beach, which was released in 2000. And following its prominence in the movie, tourist numbers skyrocketed. By 2015, as many as 1.2 million people were visiting each year, almost 80% of whom were foreign, all looking to relax in the waters and get a glimpse of the bioluminescent plankton that light up the sand at night. This, though, began to have a devastating impact on the beach, which, along with the lasting damage caused during the shooting of the movie, meant something had to be done to preserve it for future generations. Despite attempts to rejuvenate the region while still allowing people to visit, the Thai government decided to ban all visitors in 2019, a law that still remains in effect. The intent is to reopen it at some point in the future, though, and there's a huge project that involves the cultivation of corals and cleaning of trash from the beach to prepare it for when this eventually happens.
Actually, I don't know anything about the political thing, so don't put me into that, but that's a good move. Good move.
There are said to be as many as 80,000 Shinto shrines across Japan, with people being just as likely to worship at home as they are in a public building. And while most welcome anyone who wishes to make use of them for their spiritual beliefs, there's one that only a select few people can enter. Known as the Grand Shrine of Ise, it was built to honor Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun and the universe. Amazingly, the construction of the shrine made use of traditional Japanese woodcraft techniques, which means not a single nail was used. It was first built more than 2,000 years ago, but in accordance with the Shinto ideas of death and rebirth, it's actually fully rebuilt every 20 years, and the last time this happened was in 2013. Today, in respect of how important the shrine is, the only people allowed to
swear,
enter are priests and the members of the imperial royal family.
When you build buildings,
the closest anyone else can get
yeah,
is to see the shrine from the outside through the wooden fences that surround it, but it is permitted to walk around the grounds, which include a forest and a series of ornamental walkways that were built around 150 years ago. Number 12. Morgan Island, United States. Off the coast of South Carolina, there's a 4,400-acre rocky outcrop known as Morgan Island.
I know this island, bro.
Off limits to visitors since 1979.
Oh, that
historically, because of its remote position, it's never been permanently used by people. But in that year, a colony of free-ranging rhesus monkeys was relocated there from Puerto Rico, and the risk of spreading disease meant it simply isn't safe for anyone to come into contact with them. The reason why they had to be moved in the first place is that they were part of a research facility, and there was a huge problem with the transmission of herpes virus B infections, and the island was chosen so they could be studied and live their lives in a controlled environment. Now operated and overseen by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, most of the more than 3,500 monkeys live in a semi-marine tropical forest that's on the island, and the risk is so severe that they're fed by an automated system from a nearby building. Only occasional researchers are ever allowed to set foot on Morgan Island, which is also often called Monkey Island. Those that are allowed to go have to enter strict quarantine on their return to ensure nothing is spread into the general population.
For sure. I know people.
Number 11,
boats on the weekend or whatever it was.
Australia. Uluru is the most recognizable natural landmark in Australia, located around 208 miles to the southwest of Alice Springs. It's deep within the outback of the country's Northern Territory and became a popular tourist destination in the 1930s when it was more commonly known as Ayers Rock. The problem, though, was that the natural sandstone formation, which stands 1,142 feet tall, has been a place of spiritual significance to the indigenous people for a long time, and from well before outsiders settled in Australia, and the countless numbers of tourists that were walking up onto it were causing severe damage to its delicate structure. There were also concerns about how visitors were disrespecting Uluru after a number of incidents of tourists drinking alcohol and stripping on top of the sacred mountain. So in 2017, there was a unanimous vote to ban people from being able to climb it. This new law came into effect in October of 2019, and now, while you're able to witness it from a nearby visitor center, no one's allowed to set foot on it. Even photos from certain angles are prohibited in accordance with traditional beliefs, and offending images have been removed from Google Earth as a mark of respect.
Save the Diddy parties for
Number 10, Mizgorai, Russia. You may have heard about several abandoned towns or cities around the world that are restricted in terms of who can visit. But what about a fully functioning one?
This is the place Mr. Beast went to.
That's the strange case with Mizgorai, which is in the southern Ural Mountains in the Russian Republic of Bashkiria.
Mr. Beast made a video,
despite having an estimated population of around 16,000 people,
I think this is it. It looks
cut
exactly
off from
like
the outside world. It's believed to have been founded in 1979 and officially declared a town in 1995.
This is in Russia?
And there is, along with a base hidden in the mountains, that a number of top-secret Russian military projects are carried out.
I told you, bro.
The
This is the
residents
place
are
that
all
Mr.
either
Beast
the
was at.
employees or the families of the employees of the Russian government, which is why it's been possible to keep it under wraps. From what we do know about the town, it's likely the place, for example, where Russia kept 73 of their nuclear warheads during the Cold War, and there are suggestions it's the location of the country's Dead Hand project that can supposedly launch a nuclear assault on the rest of the world automatically.
Yo, pause this right quick. Y'all, I don't think you can see it. There's like a cop car on my thing. I don't know if you saw that. What? Why is there a cop car going down my thing, bro? My pathway. Anyway, let me get back to this.
The less that's known about the town, the more rumors that spread about it too, such as it being where the Russians keep evidence of the existence of aliens and where they're developing the next generation of mass destruction weaponry. Whatever the truth may be, it's certainly not something any ordinary citizens or tourists will be able to find out, because if you get too close without permission, you'll soon be faced with the barrel of a rifle and the suggestion that you turn away.
Dang.
Number
bang
9,
it down.
North Sentinel Island.
Oh,
Bay
I
of
heard of this,
Bengal.
bro. They got the
North Sentinel
people.
Island is a part of
There's
the
another
Andaman
crocodile.
Island archipelago in the Bay of
What?
Bengal and falls within Indian territorial waters.
That's crazy.
While most of the other islands are open
Damn.
to visitors and tourists,
I've heard this,
and
bro.
offer
People like
exactly what
dying
you'd
when they go on
expect
there.
from a
It was
tropical island
the dude was
retreat.
trying to spread
Travel to
Christianity.
North Sentinel is strictly forbidden to
Yeah,
protect the people
bro.
who live there.
And then one dude left like
Known
a
to
6-pack
outsiders
of
as the
what's it
Sentinelese,
called?
they're one of
A
the last
Pepsi.
remaining tribes in the world that are fully isolated. The reasons for this date
Dude,
back
it's
for
crazy,
centuries
bro.
after a
There's
series
still
of
people
unfortunate
out there living
encounters
like
with
it's
passing
300 years
vessels.
ago.
And now the
And they
Sentinelese
have no
see any
clue.
attempts by
I mean, obviously they
outsiders
have
to
a
visit
clue,
the
you know,
island
they
as an
think, but-
aggressive act, and they
You know what
respond
I'm saying?
in
They just
kind.
living like it's
2 fishermen who
300
became
years
stranded
ago.
on one of the beaches in 2006 were, for example, swiftly executed by the islanders, and so was an American missionary who tried to
he
make
told you,
contact
that
with
guy.
them in 2018. To try and prevent this from happening,
It's
there's
simple,
a
bro. Just
5-mile
don't go there.
exclusion zone around the
Simple.
island that's
not
regularly
even that big of
patrolled
a
by
deal,
the
honestly.
Indian
Just don't
Navy,
go.
with the intent that the Sentinelese will be able to live their
leave them
lives
be,
in
bro.
peace without the risk of being
What?
interrupted
Bro,
by
they got that
unwelcome
footage?
visitors.
Holy crap, who got that footage, bro?
Number
What are they
8,
throwing?
Pravčička Brana, Czech Republic. Located in Bohemian Switzerland, which is a region in northwestern Czech Republic, the Pravčička Brana is a stunning natural sandstone arch
Ooh,
with
that's
a height
cool.
of 52 feet and a width of 26 feet.
Dude, it
total
look- yeah, it
span
looks so
of
thin.
87 feet. It was once one of the most popular
Bro,
tourist
that looked like when
attractions
the
in the region,
Minecraft
with
map
people traveling
glitches,
far
and
and
it's, like,
wide to
too
walk
thin.
over the infamous arch.
You know what I
It was
mean? And
realized,
like they got the
however, that
craters
the
and
more
stuff
people
like that. That's what it
visited,
looked
the
like.
quicker that the arch was beginning to deteriorate.
Oh, yeah, they got
There was a
arches
huge
too. Dang,
concern
that's
that
a
it would
dope
one day
build.
collapse, not only meaning the country would lose one of its most important landmarks,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
also risk a huge humanitarian tragedy.
That'd be
It
bad.
was decided in 1982, therefore,
of
that
people?
everyone would be prohibited from walking across it,
Oh,
and are
the
instead
waves gonna, like,
restricted
crush
to
it?
looking at it from afar. Since the new rules were put in place, there's been a noticeable slowdown in the rate of erosion,
That's
but
good.
even without the assistance of tourists, it's still wearing away. It's most
Yeah,
likely
water,
that it will
right?
collapse at some point in the
water
future, but
erodes
that
rock
time is now a lot
over time.
further away thanks to the ban. Number
Strong
7,
winds too, right?
Poveglia, Italy. The Venetian
Okay, Italy.
Lagoon in northern Italy is an enclosed bay of the Adriatic Sea, where there's a number of protected islands, including most famously Venice itself.
Oh.
The city is actually built across 118 small islands that are connected by more than 400 bridges, and it was first
Damn.
settled more
Everybody
than
getting private
2,500
islands.
years ago,
That's rich.
and the surrounding islands have served in support of the main center. One, known as Poveglia, is abandoned and access is highly restricted, not
Why?
because of anything taking place there
What the heck
today,
is that?
but because of its storied past. It was originally inhabited, but in the face of war, the residents fled in 1379, and for almost 400 years, it was left empty. In 1776,
Abandoned it?
though, Venetian authorities saw it as the perfect place to set up a quarantine station. The city had
For
become
what?
a hub for tourism and trade, but there were increasing risks of people bringing illness such as the
Like
plague
disease,
with
yeah.
them, so anyone showing any symptoms had to go there.
Oh.
It was used for this
Avoid, like,
purpose
Spanish
for
flu?
almost a century, and then in 1922 the buildings were converted and turned into a mental asylum before finally being abandoned in 1968. During these two uses, countless people died on Poveglia, both because of disease and mistreatment, and it's more recently become known as the most haunted place on Earth. It's the potential presence of historical
going there,
diseases
bro. I ain't
within
going
the
to any
soil
places,
that's
bro.
seen as the greatest threat,
You shouldn't
though,
go near
and to
them
prevent
either.
those from re-emerging and
They're
infecting the
banned
modern-day
for a
city,
reason. They're
there are
prohibited
huge
to
penalties
go.
for anyone who sets foot there.
That's the last place I'm going. Shit.
Number 6, Heard Island, Australia.
Okay.
Despite falling under the jurisdiction of Australia, Heard Island is one of
that
the
can't
most
be
remote
snow.
places on Earth,
That's
lying around
sand.
2,500 miles southwest of Perth and 2,600
snow?
miles to the southeast of South Africa in
No
the
way it's
Indian
snow,
Ocean.
right?
It's on Heard Island along with the surrounding McDonald Islands
snow's in
that you'll
Australia?
find Australia's only 2 active volcanoes, and one of them,
Oh, is that
Mawson
ash?
Peak, is the tallest mountain in Australia,
All that white stuff might
reaching
be
an
ash,
elevation of
bro.
9,006 feet.
What is it?
Because of where the
I don't know if
islands
it's
are,
snow or
they're
ash.
also covered in
one
41
is.
separate glaciers and are home to a wide range of different plant and animal species. Although they're volcanic in origin, they're made up of mainly limestone and scattered pieces of other rocks, and this means that they're
Dude.
relatively fragile compared to most
That's
other
gotta be-
islands.
that's gotta
And this
be
is why
ash,
Australia forbids visitors from going there.
Oh,
Of course, this is a place that's so remote that there's virtually no chance that anyone would reach Heard Island without it being their specific destination. So with the rules in place, there have been fewer voyages to investigate the islands in the past half-century than have been sent to the moon.
Ooh, bro, those might go off soon, bro.
Number 5, Pluto's
watch out for
Gate,
those.
Turkey. Ancient civilizations had a number of rituals and traditions that may seem strange to modern-day cultures, but there was often good reason behind many of their superstitions, and there's one that's still dangerous to this day. Known as Pluto's Gate, it was a well-known site to the ancient Greeks and was in the city of Hierapolis in modern-day Turkey. It was a Plutonion, which means it was a site dedicated to the god of the underworld, Pluto, and it's a small cave that's just large enough for one person to fit inside.
Nah, that's creepy,
Mentioned by several high-profile writers from the time, it was said to be an incredibly dangerous place, and one that only the most devout could enter and return safely from. During the times of the Greeks, a further building was in front of the cave, and this too was a deadly space. So much so that vendors sold animals to visitors so they could put them near to the cave and see how quickly they would die. What first sounds like legend actually has a scientific basis behind it, and it was recently discovered that Pluto's Gate has a series of cracks in the surrounding rock that large quantities of carbon dioxide gas seeps through. As it's invisible and denser than air, anyone that goes in and breathes normally would soon start suffering the consequences. And because of this danger, visitors aren't allowed anywhere near. Number 4. Snake Island, Brazil.
Oh, I heard this one too.
Of all the islands in the world that are dangerous for humans to visit, the one that you'd experience the highest chance of death is the Ilha de Campina Grande, which is around 21 miles off the coast of Sao Paulo in Brazil. And it's for good reason that the Navy patrols the area to prevent anyone from going there. That's because it's more commonly known as Snake Island, and it's home to arguably the deadliest species of snake in the world, the golden lancehead viper.
South Carolina,
and there are lots of them.
Has the highest
Thousands of years ago, rising sea
snake
levels
population.
caused the island to be cut
And
off
while I was
from the
there, I've
mainland,
seen like
and a small
boredom.
population of snakes has become
It's
trapped.
just like walking or whatever.
Instead of having a
and
wide range of food sources,
running, bro.
they were now
You see me
restricted
just
to the birds that migrated past
like
and
these.
stopped
Like
off
I'm
on
straight
the
out of
island.
there, bro.
So this
I do not miss
necessitated
the
an
snakes,
evolutionary
bro.
change if
Hell
they
no.
were to survive. The result was the development of a much stronger venom that, if bitten, will cause a bird to die almost immediately and close by, which ensures the snake is able to eat it. With an estimated one snake per 11 square feet, they're present in huge numbers on the island. And if you were to go to the forested regions, you'd be guaranteed to see them in every direction. Fortunately, no one knows for sure how potent the venom is against humans because very few people have ever been bitten by one. But if the effects on birds are anything to go by, it would likely be fatal before any anti-venom or treatment could be administered. Number 3. Surtsey Island, Iceland.
Never heard of this one.
On the 14th of November in 1963, a huge underwater volcanic eruption began off the southern coast of Iceland, and it would set in motion a series of events that would become one of the most unique scientific experiments ever. By the time the eruption ended in June of 1967, a brand new chain of islands had been formed, the largest of which was called Surtsey, and it gave scientists an incredible insight into the way that the islands are created. The other formations soon worn away in the face of oceanic erosion, but Surtsey is still there to this day and is only expected to fall back beneath the waves in around a century. It has long been a protected site with only authorized researchers allowed anywhere near, but this isn't anything to do with safety. Instead, it's to prevent contamination on the island, so researchers can further study the development of new islands. Bacteria, fungi, and molds were, for example, the first living organisms to appear on Surtsey, and these provide the basis of the ecosystem that could support more complex life. It is believed there are 89 species of birds and 335 invertebrates in the area, and this number is only expected to increase as time passes. Number 2. Niihau Island, United States.
Oh, USA.
The westernmost and 7th largest island in the Hawaiian archipelago is known as Niihau, and covering an area of 69 square miles, it's 17.5 miles southwest of Kauai. Despite being a lush wetland region that's as beautiful as the rest of Hawaii, you won't find any resorts to stay in there, and the closest you'll get is a half-a-day helicopter tour to see the island from a distance. That's because of an unusual political agreement that means only people authorized by the island's owners are allowed to go there, and they're notoriously restrictive with who they welcome. The island was sold to Elizabeth Sinclair by the Kingdom of Hawaii in 1864 for $10,000, which is the equivalent of around $170,000 today. And it's her descendants, the Robinsons, that are still in charge. Only members of the family and their relatives, along with U.S. Navy personnel, government officials, and the occasional invited guest are allowed on the island. And this has allowed for the development of a community that's detached from the outside world. This doesn't mean they have nothing to do with anyone else, though, and they've had a long-standing relationship with the U.S. military, to the point where there's a small installation on the island, and it's also occasionally used as a site for specialist training operations. There are now believed to be around 170 residents on Ni'ihau. After building an economy that was mainly sustained by farming, they're all virtually self-sufficient. No rent has to be paid by residents, and meat is free to everyone that lives there. All electricity is provided by solar power, and there are no vehicles, with islanders instead relying on horses for their transport. Number 1. Heart Reef, Australia. Coral reefs around the world are some of the most spectacular sights you'll ever see. But there's one in Australia that's the most photogenic of all. Known as the Heart Reef, it's part of the Great Barrier Reef, but it's slightly detached from the larger structure, and has, by sheer coincidence, taken on a shape that looks very much like a heart. Surrounded by crystal clear water and with countless species thriving in the reef, it became the central part of a number of tourism campaigns and attracted a huge number of snorkelers and divers who wanted to experience it for themselves.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
As is often the case, however, increasing foot traffic led to increased destruction of the reef structure, and there were concerns that if things kept going at the same rate, the Heart Reef would have been irreparably damaged within a few years. The decision was made to ban anyone from visiting, and now the only chance you have of getting your own photo of the romantic outcrop is by hiring a helicopter. Watch our binge watch.
Well, that's gonna wrap it up. 15 most forbidden places on Earth. Which one do you think was the most forbidden, and which one is the one you were definitely not going to? Alright, like the one place you are not trying to go. Make sure to leave it in the comments. I appreciate y'all boys for watching the video. It's been real. JayInDaHoodie out, and peace. That was probably a bad outro, but whatever. Whatever. Alright, cool.